comes from the book of Matthew, chapters 24 and 25. Chapter 24, starting in verse 36. And it should be on page 668 in the Bible in the pew. If you don't have the pew Bible, it's probably not on page 668. This was the last sermon that he was giving. It was more of a private sermon to his disciples, but it was really the last sort of teaching that he gave. And he was responding to questions that the disciples had asked. What will be the sign of your second coming? What will be the sign of the end of the earth? And when are all these things going to happen? Questions we might ask. So let's see what he has to say. Matthew 24, starting in verse 36. But of that day and hour no one knows, not even the angels of heaven, but my Father only. But as the days of Noah were, so also will be the coming of the Son of Man be. For as in the days before the flood they were eating and drinking and marrying and giving in marriage until the day that Noah entered the ark, and did not know until the flood came and took them all away, so also will be the coming of the Son of Man be. Then 2 men will be in the field, one will be taken, the other left. 2 women will be grinding at the mill, one will be taken, the other left. 2 will be shopping on Amazon.com, one will be taken. Watch therefore, for you do not know what hour your Lord is coming. But know this, that if the master of the house had known what hour the thief would come, he would have watched and not allowed his house to be broken into. He would have a handgun with limited to 10 clips. 10 rounds in his clip, ready for the thief. Here's the batteries. Therefore you also need be ready, for the Son of Man is coming in an hour you do not expect. Who then is a faithful and wise servant, whom his master made ruler over his household, to give them food in due season? Blessed is that servant whom his master, when he comes, will find so doing. Assuredly I say to you, that he will make him ruler over all his goods. But if that evil servant says in his heart, my master is delayed in coming, and begins to beat his fellow servants and eat and drink with the drunkard, the master of that servant will come on a day when he is not looking for him, and at an hour that he is not aware of, and will cut him in two and appoint him his portion with the hypocrites. There shall be weeping and gnashing of teeth. Then the kingdom of heaven shall be likened to 10 virgins who took their lamps and went out to meet the bridegroom. Now 5 of them were wise and 5 were foolish. Those who were foolish took their lamps and took no oil with them. But the wise took oil in their vessels with their lamps. But while the bridegroom was delayed, they all slumbered and slept. And at midnight a cry was heard, Behold, the bridegroom is coming. Go out to meet him. And all those virgins arose and trimmed their lamps. And the foolish said to the wise, Give us some of your oil, for our lamps are going out. But the wise answered, saying, No, lest there should not be enough for us and you, but go rather to those who sell and buy for yourself. And while they went to buy, the bridegroom came, and those who were ready went in with him to the wedding, and the door was shut. Afterward the other virgins came also, saying, Lord, Lord, open to us. But he answered and said, Assuredly I say to you, I do not know you. Watch therefore, for you know neither the day nor the hour in which the Son of Man is coming. Let's pray. Dear Lord, as we study your word, bring the message to us that you desire us to hear in our hearts. In your name we pray. Amen. This was sort of a parting message that Jesus was giving to his disciples. He basically, over the time he spent with them, had told them what to do. This is how the kingdom of heaven works. This is how the new covenant works. Now, this is what you need to do. This is how you need to act while I'm gone until we meet again. The message is directed to us. He's saying to us, in my physical absence, this is how to act until we meet again. We oftentimes think about the end of times or the second coming of Jesus, and being ready for that is Him coming to us, and this Armageddon and the world ending and all those things that we associate with the end of the world. But for every person that has died since the time of Jesus, their meeting of Jesus has been not Jesus coming to them, but them going to Jesus. So when we think of the end of time, so we think of us meeting Jesus and being ready for that time, it could be when we pass away. It's not necessarily going to be when Jesus comes and the world ends, because we don't know that. Because being absent from the body is to be present with the Lord. So there are several different parallels or parables or analogies that he uses in this message to sort of get that message across. And that's what I wanted to go through and look at each of those and talk a bit about what they might be trying to tell us. The first reference he had was Noah and the flood. The flood, except for Noah, the flood came as an unwelcome surprise to everyone. It killed everyone else on earth with the exception of Noah and his family. Jesus describes his coming, or us meeting him, as an unwelcome surprise to those who are unprepared. At the end of the flood, afterwards, God promises, I will never judge the earth like this again. But it doesn't mean that his judgment goes away. It means that we will be judged individually in our own personal meeting with him. When Jesus talks in the passage that we read, 2 men are there, one will be taken, one will be left. And 2 women are working, and one will be left and one will be taken. That's the judgment. We don't want to be the one left behind. Sort of a sober reminder that we will be judged. So we should be ready, I think, and anxious. Not anxious in a nervous way, but anxious in an excited way. We want to be doing something that we want the Lord to see us doing when we meet Him. We want to be thinking things that we would be proud for the Lord to see us thinking when we meet with Him. He talks then about a thief in the night. An American home is burglarized every 15 seconds. That's what the statistics say. I can't believe there's anything less than that poor house. What do we do to protect against this known threat of a thief? Well, perhaps some of us, we might lock our doors, we might lock our windows, knowing that this threat, preparing for this potential threat. We might have our lights on a timer, we have maybe have a motion sensor outside, we might have homeowners insurance, buy a safe to keep our valuables in, we might have that 9mm pistol tucked underneath our pillow. Whatever it is we do, we prepare for things that we know might come. They might come now, they might come later, they may never come. In Revelation, and John, the writer John was describing the visions, he quoted Jesus as saying, "Behold, I come like a thief. Blessed is he who stays awake and keeps his clothes with him, so that he may not go naked and be shamefully exposed." Interesting way of putting things. I guess it's like your mother said, always wear clean underwear, just in case you're in an accident. Or, don't get caught with your pants down. But now we know there is a biblical reference to that phrase, don't get caught with your pants down. But the message here is to be prepared. And what I like about this and other passages in the Bible, and particularly when Jesus speaks, he uses references that we can relate to. We don't need to be an intellectual. We don't need to be an academic to understand the message he is giving us. He uses analogies and things that we can relate to.